NHL league-wide injury update. Who's in and who's out of the lineups, plus a quick check-in in the Central Division.
You're Locked On Fantasy Hockey, your daily podcast on fantasy hockey.
Part of the Locked On Podcast Network, your team every day.
Hello, I am your host, Steele Rodin. Welcome to Locked On Fantasy Hockey, part of the Locked On Podcast Network, now the #1 sports podcast network. And that's all because of you out there who tune in every single day, making it your first listen Sunday through Thursday here on Fantasy Hockey. We appreciate you. We love you out there. We got a lot to talk about on today's episode. We'll get to big time bets at the end of the episode. I'll get to a quick check-in in the Central Division where you can find some hidden fantasy gems and fantasy value, which we have done over the last week and a half with the other divisions in the National Hockey League. But first, a lot to update you all on when it comes to injuries across the National Hockey League. And I want to start, actually, a lot of these are coming from the Atlantic Division, teams that are players that are coming back from injury, players that are also hitting the IR. And I'll bring up the page here for you on if you're watching on YouTube. But I want to start with the Toronto Maple Leafs, who have been in and out with some injuries all season long. We recently have seen William Nylander hit the IR for them with a groin injury. He's been in and out of the lineup for the last week or so. As you can see there, he missed 6 games in a row, came back for 4, played only just under 2.5 minutes in that game against the Vegas Golden Knights, left after having 2 points early and then missing the last 2 against Winnipeg and Minnesota. So William Nylander is out with a groin injury, was placed on IR as of yesterday or as of 2 days ago. And we'll keep an eye out for the extended period of time that he could possibly be on injured reserve. More importantly, maybe not more importantly, but just as important as William Nylander is the update of Anthony Stolarz. We haven't had a lot to go on with what the actual injury is what the actual injury was with this goaltender. Anthony Stolarz was reassigned to the AHL Toronto Marlies for the time being on a conditioning assignment. Craig Berube, the head coach of the Toronto Maple Leafs, said he could play before the NHL breaks for the Olympic Winter Games. He's getting pretty close, just needs the reps, needs the conditioning, that sort of thing, which you would expect after an extended period of time not being in the NHL lineup for the Toronto Maple Leafs. So I think this comes at a really good time when you're seeing the Toronto Maple Leafs struggle once again defensively. A 6-1 loss to Utah, a 6-5 loss to the Vegas Golden Knights, like I just said, a 6-3 loss to the Minnesota Wild to start off the week in Week 16. So struggling defensively. Joseph Woll hasn't been super solid back there. Dennis Hildeby hasn't been super solid back there with some consistent play. So I think when you look at the overall team defensively, like you can see here, I mean, Joseph Woll, he's got a .908 save percentage. Dennis Hildeby's got a .910 save percentage. I'm talking about more recently in the last week and a half. They haven't been super solid on the back end. So maybe getting a third goaltender into that rotation would help the Toronto Maple Leafs defensively. They give up the most shots against in the National Hockey League right now, over 31.5 shots per game on average, as well as they are a bottom 5 team when it comes to goals against. The reason why they've gotten by at this point in the season is because they can also bring it offensively. They have a goal differential of +1 right now. So in the goal differential category, they're in the middle of the pack right now. Very mediocre. Defensively, we've known they've struggled with injuries. Chris Tanev, Brandon Carlo, Oliver Ekman-Larsson at times as well. So injury updates for the Toronto Maple Leafs is Anthony Stolarz could make a return as soon as the next couple of weeks before they break for the Olympics. William Nylander on the IR as well for the time being, and we'll keep that updated moving forward. Another goaltender that could be back in the spotlight is for the Buffalo Sabres here. Alex Lyon was activated. He did participate in practice on Sunday. He hasn't played I believe, since December 29th. So he's missed at least the last 2.5, 3 weeks. He has a 10-6-3 record with a 2.82 goals against average, a .906 save percentage in 21 games, 19 starts. Alex Lyon, he's been battling as the number one starter between Colton Ellis and UPL. Again, another team that has kind of had that 3 goaltender rotation. I've had some questions on the channel, some questions in the Discord server about picking up Alex Lyon. And if you are struggling in the goaltender market or in those goaltender categories, I think Alex Lyon brings a lot of stability to that facet of your fantasy hockey team. Especially, it's been very volatile this year. The waiver wire is very thin, and at 18% rostered right now, if he's getting activated, he actually could get that start against the Nashville Predators. I'm recording before that game takes place on Tuesday, but he could have got that start against the Nashville Predators on the road. As well with the Buffalo Sabres, Josh Norris hits the injured reserve once again. He is dealing with ribs injury. He's on a week-to-week basis as of right now. And this, again, we've talked about it all season long when Flip is on the podcast with me. We go back and forth about this player, but Josh Norris is just a guy who just has not been able to stay healthy whatsoever. It's hard to, kind of back his, production up, or not his production, but kind of hard to back up his roster percentage at times, or, drafting this guy, picking him up because he gets injured. 22% rostered. He's down 3%. He hits the IR once again. When he's in the lineup, he's a skilled player. We all know what he's capable of doing. He's got 17 points in 19 games. Doesn't jump off the page with the peripheral stats. Doesn't shoot the puck a ton. No blocks, no hits, but he does bring that offensive capability to the Buffalo Sabres. So they will have to continue without him, which they've done almost the entire season, it feels like. But he will be most likely a drop for now. Or if you have an IR spot, you could definitely move him over to an injured reserve plus spot if you've got that available. Once again, a lot of these injury updates coming from the Atlantic Division. The Montreal Canadiens have activated Kirby Dach. He will be back in the lineup, or he was back in the lineup last night against the Minnesota Wild, who continue their Eastern Conference road trip kind of through this Atlantic Division right now. So Kirby Dach hasn't played since mid-November as well. I think this is a great player to keep an eye on moving forward as a deep cut streaming option. We've talked about a few from the Montreal Canadiens, but again, it was activated after the foot injury, was expected to miss 4 to 6 weeks. It went a little bit longer than expected. I think they were just continuing to take their time with him, making sure everything was all good before putting him back in the lineup. He should be slotting right back in on that top line with Cole Caulfield and Nick Suzuki. He's been pretty solid so far this year when he's in the lineup. 7 points in 15 games, 22 shots. But when you get a chance to play on that top line with some absolute fantasy studs in Caulfield and Suzuki, I think he's worth the mention. He's worth the risk if you have some, again, availability in the streaming option moving forward for this player. So I think Kirby Dach brings a ton of value, especially being on that top line. As well as Alexander Texier has been moved to the IR for a lower body injury. So some shuffling of the lines because of these injuries, but that continues to be what we talk about on today's episode. Of course, we will get into big time bets. Like I said, we will get into Central Division fantasy value check-in, some hidden gems across the Central Division, like we've done across the entire National Hockey League and all the divisions out there. I got a few more updates when it comes to injury concerns and injury players returning from injury. But first, this episode is also brought to you by Indeed. If you've ever hired someone who looked good on paper but wasn't the right fit, you know how important that is when you want candidates who truly match what you're looking for. Trust Indeed sponsored jobs. Indeed is all you need. Stop struggling to get your job post seen on other sites. Indeed sponsored job put your post at the top of the page and help you reach the right candidates faster. Instead of struggling to get your job post seen, Indeed sponsored job helps your listing stand out and reach quality candidates faster. Spend more time interviewing candidates who check all your boxes with less stress, less time, and more results using Indeed sponsored jobs. Listeners of this show get a $75 sponsored job credit to help you give your job the premium placement it deserves at Indeed.com/lockedon. Just go to Indeed.com/lockedon right now and support the show by saying you heard about Indeed on this podcast. Terms and conditions apply. Once again, thank you so much for making the Locked On Fantasy Hockey Podcast your first listen every single day. If you want to join an absolutely incredible or get an incredible experience, the Everydayer Club is built for you. It's for $5 a month or $50 a year. You get access to ad-free audio on any podcast platform you listen to your audio streaming for, as well as access to the Fantasy Hockey Discord servers. It's just a great place to hang out. Flip and I are trying to get in there more actively and more consistently during the games, after the games. If you have any questions about fantasy hockey, big time bets, or just want someone to talk to as well, we will be in the Discord servers. We really love to see that channel and that server grow in the hockey community with everyone who tunes in on a daily basis. So hit the link in the description below to get to learn more about the Discord server, as well as the Everydayer Club on here, Locked On Fantasy Hockey Podcast. We really do appreciate it. I will get to the Central Division Fantasy Hockey check-in real quickly, but just a quick another update from this Atlantic Division. A lot coming from this Atlantic Division, like I said, but it is from the Tampa Bay Lightning. Victor Hedman, Emil Lilleberg, as well as Ryan McDonough. They have been taking skates. They've been taking practice with the team. So I think that is a interesting and good update for all of you out there. Victor Hedman, Ryan McDonough, and Emil Lilleberg have begun skating at practice, like I said. For what that might do to a guy like Darren Radish, I don't expect it really to have a big negative effect to a degree, at least. You know, Darren Radish has done a fantastic job in relief of Victor Hedman on the first power play unit. I think, again, for anyone out there who has Victor Hedman at least, and I know some out there maybe have Ryan McDonough, but it's going to be great to get him off the IR and back onto your fantasy hockey team moving forward. So I think that's just a great look there. But again, Darren Radish has done a fantastic job in the absence of Victor Hedman, their captain right now. But it's going to be great to get their leading defenseman back into the lineup, especially before Olympics, is what could possibly happen. He will be on his country's Olympic team as well. So it's going to be a very exciting hockey moving forward. Again, we'll get to big time bets at the end of the episode, but I want to check in this Central Division for some unseen hidden gems that you can find on a day-to-day streaming option throughout the weeks, especially going into this weekend. I won't hit every single team. I think I can pretty much stay away from the St. Louis Blues. I think the Winnipeg Jets, everyone practically knows what's going on with them as well, outside of their, top producers and Kyle Connor, Gabriel Velarde, as well as, Mark Scheifele, of course, Josh Morrissey as well. I mentioned Logan Stanley as a streaming option this upcoming week. Cole Perfetti hasn't been great this year. Jonathan Taves is been okay. I usually like to hype up a guy like Nino Niederreiter, but he hasn't been very consistent this year. He's actually been ice cold, it seems like, for the last few months. So let me bring up the Chicago Blackhawks and just some hidden talent and some hidden streaming options that you can find on this team. Obviously, outside of Connor Bedard, there's a lot of options out there. Tyler Bertuzzi is still at 57%. So if he's available, you could definitely take a good look at him on a week-to-week basis. He hasn't been on the score sheet the last 3 games, but before that, he was red hot. He shoots the puck a ton, 107 shots on net. He's got 37 points in 46 games, and that's with actually not playing with Connor Bedard for the most part of this season. Frank Nazar as well. He's been on the IR for an extended period of time since, early or mid-December, just before Christmas. So no recent update on Frank Nazar moving forward. But again, Ryan Donato, Lev Shunov on the back end, Spencer Knight from time to time if he's available. I really like Colton Dach as a streaming option. He's got dual eligibility, center left wing. Nothing jumps off the page offensively. It's just more of a banger league opportunity. 45 penalty minutes and 166 hits to go with it so far this season. The real team I want to really dive into is the Utah Mammoth. I think you can find a ton of fantasy value with this team. We've consistently talked about a guy in Lawson Crouse. I think this is a great streaming option on a week-to-week basis. He's been pretty solid over the last week as well as they continue to win games. 6 wins in their last 7 games. He's got 7 points in his last 7 games. He's shooting the puck a little bit more as well, which is great to see. You know, this player is going to get the physicality in there. 8 hits on that 6-3 win over the Seattle Kraken the other day. And just the overall rankings here, or the overall stats: 82 shots, 132 hits and 34 blocks, 14 penalty minutes, and 2 game-winning goals. So he's heating up right now at 19%. I think it's a great option moving forward. Sean Durzi, who's Flip's a big fan of, again, on the back end. I think he brings a ton of production. Another Banger League beauty is Jack McBain, a little more offensive prowess as well, but 171 hits, 73 shots on net. Ian Cole on the back end can get you your blocks, your penalty minutes. I've actually been looking at John Marino a lot lately. I believe I talked about him on the recent waiver wire episode. He's been red hot over the last week and a half himself. Over the last 7 games, he also has 7 points. Shooting the puck, not as much. It's not, again, not part of his game. He's got 41 shots in 49 games. Peripheral stats are going to lack with this player, but offensively, he's having one of his best seasons, if not his best season in the National Hockey League. 4 goals, 24 points total. Like I said, 41 shots, 17 hits, and 46 blocks. So if he can just continue to get reps and opportunities, I think John Marino, Lawson Crouse, Ian Cole, a lot of great streaming options when the Utah Mammoth have a very advantageous schedule. The Dallas Stars have been slacking a lot lately. 2-6-2, 3-game losing skid. Again, outside of their top 6 forward group, I don't think there's a ton of fantasy value with their organization. Again, on the back end, you could take a look at a guy like Esa Lindell, actually. If you're looking for blocks, you're looking for some hits, I think Esa Lindell brings a ton of fantasy value in that regard. Again, you know, their top players, Harley, Hintz, Johnston, they're all above 77%. Matt Duchene's been very quiet this year, of course. Esa Lindell right here, 37% rostered on Yahoo. Not going to jump off the page offensively. 20 points in 49 games. Again, it's those peripheral stats you're looking for from this defenseman. 106 blocks. That's what you're looking for. Hopefully he can get some hits in there as well. Penalty minutes, again, not part of his game, but defensively getting those block shots is very important in those categorical formats, which Flip and I usually take part of. And then last but not least, I talked about them the other day, of course, on the recent waiver wire episode, but it's those Minnesota Wild. With Joel Eriksson-Ek and Matt Boldy on the injured reserve right now, there's a lot of opportunity for some key guys to play more minutes in the top 6 forward group. Number 1, I already said, Ryan Hartman. He's on a 4-game point streak. He's got 7 points in his last 7 games. He's shooting the puck a ton, playing on that top line, centering Kirill Kaprizov and Matt Zuccarello. You know, this guy's not afraid to throw the body around from time to time. He's not afraid to drop the gloves and get into the middle of things aggressively. I think Ryan Hartman brings a ton of value at 31%. Matt Zuccarello, 20% on Yahoo, 3 points in his last 2 games, playing on that top line, like I just said, with Ryan Hartman. I talked about Vladimir Tarasenko, and he had an absolute stellar game against those Toronto Maple Leafs in that 6-3 win. He himself has 6 points in his last 3 games, 12 shots in the last 3 games, playing on that top 6, playing in the top 6 forward group once again with the Minnesota Wild. Marcus Foligno had a great night. Get some Banger League beauty minutes from him. There's great options in this Central Division, and I think you can find a lot of them from the Minnesota Wild and the Utah Mammoth. I think, again, you can maybe look towards the Nashville Predators, who have been a lot better recently. Again, some availability of the Chicago Blackhawks, and you know what you're getting from the Colorado Avalanche. If you can get a piece of them, Brock Nelson's been up on the rise when it comes to roster percentage. I really like Sam Malinsky as well on the back end. He's been very solid for this Colorado Avalanche team. Again, outside with Devin Taves being injured for the last few weeks, close to a month now, I think Sam Malinsky's been getting a lot more time. Brent Burns, if you can get a piece of him on a week-to-week or a day-to-day basis, streaming option, really good hidden gems here in the Central Division, and really good hidden gems when it comes to big-time bets. I will be getting to a same-game parlay, actually 2 same-game parlays on Wednesday night when we come back after the break. But this episode is also brought to you by FanDuel. That's where you can be placing those bets. The wild card round is here, and FanDuel is officially in playoff mode. Every game day during the NFL playoffs, FanDuel is giving customers even more ways to get in on the action. Because right now, every NFL playoff game day, FanDuel users get a profit boost pack waiting for them inside the app. Open your profit boost pack first thing on game day and see what boosts you want to apply. The boosts let you lean into your game day instincts, whether you're backing momentum, defense, quarterback play, or coaching. The boosts give you more juice on the bets you already like instead of forcing you to bet something new. Make your picks, then apply your profit boost to go after even bigger payouts while the playoffs get rolling. So visit FanDuel, an official sportsbook partner of the NFL, and grab your profit boost pack every NFL playoff game day. Once again, thank you so much for making the Locked On Fantasy Hockey Podcast your first listen every single day. Continue to smash that subscribe button, the follow button. Leave a 5-star review for your boy here, Steele Rodin. Sunday through Thursdays when you can find our episodes. We really do appreciate all that love and support. Once again, if you want to join the Everydayer Club, $5 a month, $50 a year. It's a great place to hang out during the games, after the games. Any questions you have, learn more about it in the description below with the link. Big time bets, though, really feeling these picks. And I alluded to a few of them when it came to on today's episode. And I want to start with the Utah Mammoth taking on the Philadelphia Flyers. I think this is a great time to hammer the Mammoth on the money line at minus 164 in the short-lived history between these two clubs. You know, I'm not going to go all the way back to the Arizona Coyote days, but in the Utah Mammoth days, Utah Hockey Club days, the Mammoth are 2-0 against the Philadelphia Flyers. Both 1-1, one on the road, one at home as well. Mammoth money line versus the Flyers minus 164 is my first pick. Flyers have been slumping it a little bit recently. 3-6-1 in their last 10 games. Not great offensive right now. Offensive games from the Philadelphia Flyers recently. But I will. So that's why, again, I'm going to take the under 6.5. It's not been some high scoring games for Philadelphia recently. 2-1 loss to Toronto, a 2-1 win against Vegas. They're on a road trip right now. I really like the play of Karel Vejmelka this season as well. I think you can see a 4-2, 3-2 type of game in favor of the Utah Mammoth. And alongside that, I'm going to go with the Clayton Keller anytime assist. This has been one of the hottest players recently, especially when it comes to playmaking. It's the facet of his game. It's where he showcases most of his creativity and his playmaking vision. He has, let me check this out. Let me get this for you. 3 assists in his last 2 games, but over the last 6 games, Clayton Keller has 9 assists. 2 assist game against the Seattle Kraken, 2 assist game against Columbus, 3 assist game against St. Louis, 2 assist game against the Ottawa Senators. He's passing the puck. He's playmaking. He's finding his teammates out there. I like the Clayton Keller anytime assist alongside the under 6.5 and the Mammoth on the money line. But that's not the only same game parlay I have for you out here. I'm also looking at the Washington Capitals against the Vancouver Canucks. While Washington hasn't been able to really close out games over the last 4 or 5 weeks, they've struggled since Christmas time in that regard. You have to bet against the Vancouver Canucks. This team is down, and they are down bad. A tough 4-3 loss, comeback victory for the New York Islanders the other day against those Canucks. They're 0-8-2 in their last 10 games. They've lost 8 straight games as well. They're 16-28-5, and we have talked about pretty much this being one of the craziest seasons in the National Hockey League when it comes to point differential and positions in the standings and how close every team is. I think the only team that you can consider out of the playoff race in both the Eastern and Western Conference is the Vancouver Canucks. They are completely tanking. They are completely selling. I wouldn't be surprised once again if they sell Elias Pettersson, if they sell Brock Besser, Jake DeBrusk, and even a few more players come the trade deadline and just completely rebuild for the future at that point. But that is for another episode. Again, Capitals on the money line against the Vancouver Canucks minus 162. I'm taking the Alexi Protas 3+ shots as well. He's been getting some heavy minutes over the last 5 games, on average close to 20 minutes a night in that stretch, playing on the top line with some of those younger fellows as well. Dylan Strome, we know he's a playmaker. He's going to try to find his line mates and his wingers. I really like the Alexi Protas 3+ shots, along with Jacob Chychrun anytime assist. What I was talking about with Clayton Keller holds true for Jacob Chychrun. He's one of the hottest defensemen in the National Hockey League. Definitely top 10 in fantasy hockey in my eyes. He gets it done offensively, both goal scoring and playmaking on the power play, whether it's John Carlson and him on together or just him on that first power play unit. He's been absolutely dominating in the offensive zone. He gets shots, he gets hits, he gets blocks. I really like Jacob Chychrun. I like the same game parlays from both the Mammoth and the Capitals perspective. You can even throw both of them into the same game parlay and make this money on Wednesday night. Thank you so much for making Locked On Fantasy Hockey your first listen every single day. Make sure you subscribe and follow so you get all of the latest episodes. You can follow us on X at LO_fantasy NHL. And like I said before, if you never miss an episode, the Everydayer Club is built for you. Get Locked On Fantasy Hockey ad-free plus members-only Discord access and more. Head to the link in the description below to learn more, to join the club. And once again, for those of you on video, we send you to the first ever 24/7 national Locked On Podcast Network YouTube channel. And on audio, make sure you make your second listen NHL Game Night on Locked On NHL. Peace.